77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Comcast is delivering extraordinary experiences in live sports. Through the incredible broadcast and storytelling from NBC, innovative and personalized viewing features on Xfinity and Peacock, and the country's most reliable Wi-Fi, viewers can enjoy every game-changing play faster and more seamlessly than ever. All on a network built to deliver unforgettable moments as close to live as possible. The ultimate experience for the American sports fan. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's go, mother. Come on, mother.
Shuffle.
9/11 also? Did you celebrate 9/11?
Shuffle.
Are you celebrating 78 years of bloodshed? 78. Are you celebrating 78 years of bloodshed? This is real video from Gaza. Occupation. Are you celebrating this? Are you celebrating 78 years? You celebrating this?
Mandami.
Celebrating.
But you like it. You agree. So you fuel this. You allow this. This is horrendous. It's in our city, for crying out loud. What the hell are we going to do right now in Brooklyn? Last night, it happened. Jews being targeted for being Jews. Are you crazy? And you can't, it's totally illegal. You can't take over a street. You can't form, it's in the First Amendment, peaceably assemble. This is not peaceful. Now here you'll hear something. It's in the quietest section, I believe, of Midwood, and they're going by these Jewish families' homes, and they're yelling and screaming at them, and I can't believe it. Cut 15, please. Knocking on their doors, drums, Palestinian flags, anti-Israel. The sloganeering. How do you feel? How are they supposed to feel? Can you imagine a mob coming by your house, a mob that hates you because of your religion? What would you do? What can you do? What can we do? What the hell can we do? I hear there were like 3 arrests. 3 arrests. You had hundreds of people out there. That thing shouldn't have happened. You prevent it. You prevent them from taking over. That's what a civilized society does. You protect the streets. Also, you find out if it's going to happen, you find out ahead of time through intelligence, through monitoring. You can do that. It's totally constitutional. It's totally legal. Cops used to do it. They'd have Facebook accounts, right? See what the hell is going on. You got to organize this crap on Facebook. And you just keep an eye on Facebook. They're not doing that. The mayor wants this stuff to happen. The mayor wants this stuff to happen. And that ridiculous pretend police commissioner. Pretend. I put commissioner in quotes. I call her Jessica. Oh boy, I've got a cool job, Tish. She lets this happen? And she doesn't know how to stop it. I saw her go in front of some group and, you're lucky to have me. I'm Jewish. Well, that's not enough. You got to be Jewish and effective. And you got to be able to stand up to your boss and use the full power power at your disposal, but you don't know how. You don't know how. It's just, I can't believe it. You know, all that stuff, all that crap about Bubba Wallace and white supremacy and Charlottesville, and it was imaginary. It was manufactured when it wasn't imaginary, artificial, to get Joe Biden over the finish line and then try to keep him in power, to besmirch and tarnish MAGA, the most non-racist, anti-racist, if you will, in the best possible way, political movement in history. There ain't one person in MAGA that cares anything about who you are, where you come from, as long as you came here legally, support our ideals. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Born here, not born here. You got to just be American. Love America. The ethnicity, nothing to do with it. So here we are. Anti-Semitism flourishing in New York. What in the hell do we do by this? What the freaking hell do we do? All right. Now, a couple of people I know are on the case. I know that we have Harmeet Dillon at the Justice Department. Great. So we got the Trump administration looking into this. We have, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. As far as law enforcement, as far as people who can really do something about it, we've got that. And, you know, we got some of the biggest leaders in the state both turning a blind eye or, you know, just ignoring it, pretending it's not happening. Chuck Schumer, my God, you know, the number one, in many ways, Chuck Schumer, you could say, is the number one most prominent Jewish person in all of America. But you know what? He's scared of the radical left. He's scared of AOC. He won't make a stand. Let's just peruse his Twitter, shall we? You know, he's always grabbing that stupid podium and having those Sunday press conferences. And made his career by sticking up for the little guy. And you know what? You know what he's beefing about right now? What do you think? Of all the issues in the world, what's he most passionate about? What's he most outraged about? What is he applying his efforts, whatever the hell his efforts are? What do these guys do anyway, really, when you think about it? What do they do? Let's see here. He's upset about gas prices 2 minutes ago. 23 minutes ago, he was, he is unwell and getting worse by the day. What does this mean? Oh, he doesn't like Trump. Trump had one of his worst mental health episodes last night, posting 55 times in 3 hours. Here is a list. I just lug it. That has nothing to do. You still surprised at how President Trump tweets, Chuck? Haven't you gotten used to this? Let's see here. What else does he write about? Uncertainty, stress, dread. These are the words Americans use to describe the economy right now. Isn't the stock market at its highest ever? Each month the war drags on. The pain increases for American families. A lot of Republicans, too, want to see this birded out. What the hell does that mean? Thune says bird bath for the reconciliation bill is starting this week. Oh, the Washington Mall? He's tweeting about everything other than the anti-Semitism that happened in his hometown, his home county, Brooklyn, also known as Kings County. Chuck came from there. What would his parents have to say? What would his parents think about Chuck? It's just, it's really something else. So I'm making some phone calls. I don't know what has to be done, but something dramatic must be done. Harmeet Dillon from this Justice Department, you know, she's the Deputy Attorney General for Human Rights, and that's a big deal because these are civil rights violations, and that makes it a federal case. And these are federal hate crimes that are occurring. And, you know, it's fascinating to me. I never, ever, ever hear about October 7th and what they did to those young women at that rave concert, right? Remember that? Imagine if Al-Qaeda came into our country and, I don't know, marauded through a Taylor Swift concert, stole girls and raped them. Now, I don't know where the nuclear bombs would have landed, but they would have landed somewhere. All right, we would have gone nuclear, literally, after that. So this thing is just, we pretend what? It's okay. It's just not a thing. Legacy media is totally ignoring it. I mean, totally. The New York Times, where the hell are you? This is a local story, everybody. This is it's a national story. It's an international story. Got friends in Israel who are talking about it. Why isn't it in the Metro section of the New York Times, for crying out loud? The Metro section? You think the anti-Semitism is alive and well at the New York Times? You bet your ass. I just can't believe it. And I just bought, for laughs, I'm going to read about Chuck Schumer's thoughts on anti-Semitism in America. Imagine if you had that platform. You know what he's got? He's got 15 communications directors, 20 press secretaries. He's got offices in Washington, New York City. One's right across the street. He's got 4 on Long Island. He's got 8 upstate. All right. He's got a massive, massive platform. And half of politics, quite frankly, is saying stuff. And he doesn't want to say stuff at this moment. Why do what you do? Hochul, I would have known. Hochul, this doesn't surprise me so much from Hochul, goofball, but it's something else with Chuck, because I know that Chuck wasn't always like this. Chuck, no. There's a strain of normalcy in him, but I guess he just wants power that badly, and right now the power is with the hard left. Here's his book. I just opened it up. This is the very first page of his book. For not only one enemy has risen up against us to destroy us, but in every generation they rise up to destroy us. But the Holy One, blessed be He, delivers us from their hands. That's a translation from Vihi Shemata, a passage from the Haggadah, the sacred text of Passover. And then he has another quote, anti-Semitism is a light sleeper, from Connor Cruz O'Brien, Irish writer and diplomat. Wow. And then he writes as follows, I never thought I would write a book like this. For one thing, I never thought anti-Semitism would rise to the level that it has today in America. But also, like many Jewish Americans, despite, or maybe because of my public profile, I've always had mixed feelings about how strongly I should advertise or lean into my Jewish identity. For most of my career, I just tried to be myself. I told my colleagues and especially fellow Democrat candidates that in order to succeed in politics, they have to be who they truly are. Voters can smell inauthenticity the way bloodhounds track a scent. I have a maxim I tell any candidate for public office. I'm from Brooklyn. I say sometimes it hurts me, sometimes it helps me, but I know if I tried to be anything else, I would be worse than whatever I am. I've always understood implicitly that when I say Brooklyn, I also mean Jewish. Now, it's very interesting, actually, in ways I don't think he intended. I have always had mixed feelings about how strongly I should advertise or lean into my Jewish identity. He has always had mixed feelings. Always. Well, always to me means today, means right now. And this is not the time. This is not the time, Chuck. How can you? How can you desert those poor people in your neighborhood, literally in your neighborhood? It's a very strange. It goes on here. But wasn't my job to represent our community in the United States? When I was younger, I felt no strong desire or need to speak out on behalf of Jewish Americans. Well, here we are again, Chuck. Here we are again. I might have worked on issues related to Jews in Israel, but people often thought of me as more outwardly Jewish than I actually was. Over my first decade in Congress, I represented Brooklyn, but in 1992, I was redistricted partially into Queens. When I was campaigning to meet the new voters in Queens on Austin Street in Forest Hills, a predominantly Jewish neighborhood, a lady wandered over to me. In typical Jewish fashion, she skipped the pleasantries. "You're Congressman Schumer," she declared. "I read in the Queens Tribune that you're my new congressman. I'm so glad. I've never met you in person, but I watch C-SPAN religiously, and I'd like to pay you a compliment. You have more courage than any other of the members of Congress." And I said, "Well, thank you, ma'am. You know, there are 435 of them. Some are no good nicks, I admit, but there are some very estimable people. Estimable. What makes you say that? Out of all 435, I have the most courage. Well, as I said, I watch C-SPAN, and when you rise to your feet, you speak on the floor of the House of Representatives. You're the only one who has the courage to wear a yarmulke." "Thank you, ma'am, but it's obvious you've never met me." I bent my head down to show her the appetizer plate bald spot on my crown. It's not a yarmulke. Wow. Being Jewish brought meaning to my personal and political life, but it was an identity that could be worn lightly. No doubt people thought about me. So Chuck is having an identity crisis about this stuff. Chuck is not a warrior. Chuck is out to lunch. Chuck doesn't give a damn. Oh, Chuck doesn't want to be, he wants to be himself. And what himself is, apparently, is weak and afraid and conflicted about his Jewishness. How in the hell? How in the hell? And you write it out loud. You write it down. Nobody reads these books other than me. He's conflicted. He doesn't want to advertise his Jewishness. He doesn't want to get involved. The mob may come for him, and it already has. That mob came for him back a couple of times. One of the times was on October 8th. The very next day, Zoran Mamdani was outside his house yelling and screaming with the bullhorn. And instead of getting his Irish up, he can be a little bit Irish. What the hell happened to him? He got scared. And he looked at AOC. You know, AOC really disrupted a lot of things. AOC was on the cover of Time magazine, I think before she even got sworn in as a congressman. She beats that guy Crowley in a primary. 4,000 people vote for her. So what? But that's it. That's all it took. When did she come in? 2018. Poor schmuck Chuck Schumer has been in politics since 1974. And she comes along in 2018 and outshines him, outclasses him, has more power than it. He is afraid of her. That's got to do pretty nutty stuff to your brain. So I guess you didn't want to offend her by talking about all the, you don't want to advertise how Jewish you are, or this, that, and the other thing. And it's really something. It's real. I know deep down he's better than this, deep down. But then again, what difference does it make deep down? Right? I don't have time to go deep down into Chuck Schumer. We only have time to evaluate what you're doing. And in this moment of crisis, he's on vacation. Be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. The following is a paid issue advertisement.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
Paid for by RealAmerica.vote, a DBA of New York Citizens Audit Civic Fund, Incorporated.
Go to RealAmerica.vote.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Fox News is now streaming live on Fox One. When it matters most, turn to the voices you trust. We go beyond the headlines, bringing you the stories you won't hear anywhere else. Live coverage, sharp analysis, real perspective. At home or on the go. Stay connected when it counts. Stream Fox News on Fox One. Download today.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, it's pretty cool. Sid talked to POTUS, the President of the United States, right here in this room on the radio. President Trump was, I believe, in the Oval Office, and Sid had a great, big, long conversation. Apparently, I come up. I mentioned a couple of times. I love it. I love it. I love it. So good for Sid. Long conversation, and we're going to get into it, all right? Let's hear a big chunk. Oh, has the president left for China? He's going all the way to China. I think there are a couple of stops along the way. I like this. I like this. It's China is going to help us bring the damned Iran war in for a landing, all right? We want that thing over. We basically want it. So it's also background noise. Again, I pointed this out last night. You know how many days we've been like dropping bombs on Iran altogether? It started February 28th. If you add in all the ceasefire days, it's only 33 days. 33 days. And everybody's calling it a quagmire, this, that, and the other thing. 33 days. Nobody seemed to give a damn. 20 years in Afghanistan. 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it was in Iraq. But this is a quagmire? Give me a break. And we have the president who wants peace. Unlike Mike Pence, by the way. Oh, Mike Pence is making noise. Mike Pence actually wants to run for president. Oh, Mike. Oh, Mikey. I'm a Christian, a Republican, and a father and a brother in that order. And are you a MAGA Republican, Mike? I'm very proud of the accomplishments of the Trump-Pence administration, and what I am is a proud conservative Republican. Oh, shut up, Mike. Are you MAGA or not? I will say again that I am a proud Republican. He can't say it. Can't say it. I want nothing to do with you, Mike. Mike Pence, who kept all of his secret documents when he had no right to them in a little hut, in a little shack by a fake lake that he had constructed in Indiana. You know what I hate? Fake ponds, right? You dig a hole and then you put water in it. It's one thing for a pool. I love a pool in the backyard. That's kind of cool. But a pond? You know, all the mosquitoes and the rest of it, a pond, it just looks fake. I like a body of water that you can trace back to the Ice Age. That's the kind of body of water I like. Otherwise, I'm not interested. None of these fake lakes. You'd be surprised how many of these lakes are fake. They constructed them. Like in the New Deal and stuff like that, they made all these fake lakes. Anyway, here's Sid with President Trump. Go ahead.
Always such a huge honor when my friend, who happens to be not just the best president in my lifetime, but I'm telling you folks, the greatest president in the history of our country. Other folks say that. I've been saying that for the longest time. I think I started that. And I mean that. Man, we are lucky to have President Donald J. Trump as our 47th and was the 45th president of the United States. My dear friend, President Trump. Mr. President, how are you, pal?
Well, I'm great, Sid, and your show is great. I hear all about your ratings, and I do it because I like you, not because of your ratings, but the ratings don't hurt, right?
No, they never hurt.
Great.
And I know you're so good to me. Bruce Blakeman was just in your office just last week. He's running, of course, for governor. You and him are dear friends for many, many years, just like you and I. Tell me what you think about Bruce's chances running for governor here in the state of New York.
Well, I think he's got a great chance. You know, Bruce won in Nassau County, which is unheard of for a Republican, and he's fantastic. I will tell you, I know him for a long time. He's always been a winner. And not only that, he just won in a record amount out there that, you know, if you really think about it, sort of a Democrat area a little bit, although I think he just turned it. But it doesn't matter. He wins by a lot. And I said to people, watch Bruce. Just watch it. And how could people be happy right now? It's a very sad thing that's going on with New York in every way. And he'll bring it back. He'll lower taxes. He'll bring back safety. He'll get rid of the crime. Even in New York, I mean, he'll get the streets cleaned up. He'll have to do it because it just, sadly, it doesn't look like it's happening.
No, New York is a mess right now, and it's not really working, President Trump, under Kathy Hochul. And look, we need a lot of help at both the state and the city level. You know, I know that you've had two very nice meetings with Mayor Mamdani in the Oval Office, for example, but I got to tell you, President Trump, above and beyond all the anti-Semitism stuff, and, you know, obviously you talked about him destroying the city financially. We got a major issue in this city with the police, and you're a law and order president. You do an amazing job with that. You've made cities safe, President Trump, that were really unsafe right before you took office. This guy can't stand the cops. I mean, I've got sergeants and detectives and all kinds of people. They are leaving. The cops are leaving this city. How do I make an argument for that?
Well, I never knew whether or not that was, you know, real or not real. Maybe it's a political. I don't understand that political rhetoric because I think it's not good politics, frankly. But look, he came down to the Oval Office twice. He's a nice person. I really like him. He's a nice guy. But, you know, you can't tax people out of New York. When you tax people out of New York, you never get them back. They think they're going to get them back. Like she's trying to get them back now. You don't get them back. Once they leave, they're gone. And, I mean, you won't have a city left. You won't have a state left. It's a very dangerous thing that's happening right now.
Do you know Ken Griffin, Mr. President?
I do.
I figured you did because he's a very successful man, a great man, just like you. And he wants to do a $6 billion project right here on Park Avenue. And who loves Park Avenue more than you? And you've got the mayor, this guy outside of his residence, and he does a whole film. And Ken Griffin goes above and beyond the fact that he just humiliated me. And I'm a billionaire looking to spend money in New York City. It's unsafe. He's doing a video from the front of where I live. And now Ken Griffin is thinking about taking that $6 billion project for a city, President Trump, that's $5.4 billion in debt, and taking that to Miami. How does that make sense?
Well, I do know Ken, and Ken's an amazing businessman, one of the best, and you don't want to lose people. He also pays a lot of taxes, like me. Right. We pay a lot of taxes, and you know when you lose people like that, it's sort of not recoverable. Always just say something's recoverable, right? But it's not recoverable. Then they build something else. They're going to be there for 30 years. They don't come back. And you've got to do the opposite. You've got to cherish them. You got to bring them to the office. You got to meet them. You have to have dinner with them. You have to convince them not to leave. You're going to make their life great. You're going to help them with their building, with their project. You got to do it. And I don't know if it's not hard to do, but maybe it is for some people. But you don't want to lose people like Ken. That would be a big loss for New York.
Yeah, and, John Catsimatidis, your friend and mine, my boss, is another guy that, they're making it life difficult for him. I mean, look, you said it just yesterday. It was brilliant. You called them Democrats. And I don't know if they're just stupid or evil. I got to tell you, President Trump, they're worse than stupid. They're worse than dumb. They're literally evil. I said this to you last time. I think Democrats are actually happy that 2 people died in Minnesota, just so they can break your chops every day about ICE. I think they're happy about that. I don't think they really care about lives lost. The Democrats are not just stupid. They're really very evil, bad people.
Well, they get bad policy. I don't know if you saw I put up something the other day on Truth. Truth is doing great. And I put it up on Truth. It's nice, so I call it nice. I add the word national in front. I call it nice. And everybody loved it, but I'm not sure that the guys liked it because I think they like their image of being strong, and they've done a great job. They've done a great job, but I love the word nice. And so I said, if we called them nice, that would really ruin the radical left, the media, the fake news media. Every time they mention the name ICE, they have to say nice. And I think they'd go crazy one another too. But you have to get the guys that are wearing that badge, put it on there. But I love that idea.
I love that idea, too. We got to keep those guys safe, too. The fact that Democrats want to take their masks off and, it's bad enough. They're right there. I mean, look, President Trump, I love you so much. You're only 16 days away from somebody trying to murder you again. If anybody could appreciate what people go through when they're literally hunted in the streets. You said just yesterday, you like being the hunter, not the hunted necessarily.
Yeah,
you're 16 days away. Why would the Democrats want to put these law enforcement individuals in that type of harm's way?
Well, then you have a judge that's apologizing to him. I saw that. I read it in one of our good papers. It doesn't have to be local. It's all over the place where the judge is apologizing to him for, I guess, maybe something was a little bit wrong, but they never apologized to J6, the J6 folks that I, as you know, pardoned very proudly. And nobody apologized to them. It was terrible. But the judge was apologizing to a guy that really did have, he was an assassin who didn't pull it off. But, people could not believe it, actually, when he went to court and the judge started talking that way. It was very sad.
It was terrible. So are you still maintaining your position, President Trump, that as you texted me that next morning, which was so sweet, by the way. It's so nice. You're just a couple of hours away from a possible disaster, and you're kind enough to text people that care about you back, which is a beautiful thing. But that morning, you were quick to give credit to Secret Service. You still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. Look, I think they're great. I know them all personally. And you saw what was on the stage. As soon as they heard something, I was surrounded by very large, very powerful people, and they were great. I think they were great. And they stopped him. They stopped him. Don't forget, he didn't even get down to the door. He was a floor high. But what became popular that night was I'm building a great ballroom for the White House, and it's highly secure, the highest level ever built. And guess what you need? You're going to need that. The world is different than it used to be. And by the way, things like this happened in the past too. this isn't the first time that you've heard the A word. You've heard that over the years quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous profession. Yeah, you should have told me that at the beginning. I could have taken a pass, okay? But it's a dangerous profession, that's for sure.
You say you could have taken a pass. I remember in the first year when you became president, President Trump, 10 years ago, you said, I never knew politics was this much fun. You still feel that way?
Yeah. I do. I love it because we have results like a lot of people are saying, even liberals, people very much leaning left, they're saying it was the strongest year in the history of the presidency first year. And I think it was. On top of everything else, they ended 8 wars. And, Venezuela was like methodical. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And likewise with Iran. I mean, we've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their Air Force. It's just a question of time. We don't have to rush anything. We have a blockade, which gives them no money, allows them no money. And we just can't let, it's a very simple thing. Somebody said about policy, we cannot let them have a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. And if that goes off, you want to see a travesty. That would be unbelievable. So we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And we won't. Yeah, we won't. And we've done well. We're doing well. And we got no tax on tips for people, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We did, we've done things that nobody else has ever done. We've had a great first year. And our 4 years was fantastic. We had the best economy in the history of the country in my first 4 years. This is going to blow it away. You're seeing what's happening. But we have $18 trillion coming into our country in the form of investments, building plants, car plants, AI plants, all over the country.
The economy is already booming. People don't know about it. Yeah. They don't pay attention. But, I talk to the right people, the Larry Kudlows of the world, obviously, and Monica, and they can tell you how well the economy is doing. But getting back to Iran for a second, look, I don't know if they're ever really going to stop enriching the uranium. You go back to those 2 dopes, Obama and Kerry. Sorry, 2 dopes. They signed that deal. They thought they did a great job. It took Iran
what a horrible deal.
Yeah, one day it took them to actually go back on that deal. But do you really feel President Trump, I should say, forget about the Strait of Hormuz for 1 second, forget about regime change. Do you really feel in your heart of hearts that you can stop Iran from enriching uranium and never build a bomb? Never.
100%.
Okay.
They're going to stop. And they told me, the Iranians told me, and I deal with them, and they said that we're going to get the dust. I call it the nuclear dust because it's appropriate. It's easier for people to understand. And we're going to get it. The problem is there's only 2 countries in the world that can get it, us and China, because nobody has the equipment. Because when we bombed it, it was a total, that I was right, it was a total obliteration. The entire mountain collapsed on top of it. And they said, the Iranians told me, they said, nope, it'll be yours. But then they changed their mind. But they did say, because, they demeaned the B-2 bombers. Those guys, every shot hit. That we sent in Tomahawks from a submarine, they all hit. But every shot hit. And they demeaned the B-2 bombers when CNN starts saying, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Iran told me that it was so devastating that no country in the world other than us, and they said China, would be able to, has the machinery to be able to get that.
I believe it. Now, one more on Iran, and that is regime change. Israelis want that. And there seems to be this ridiculous rumor. It's been going on for years, created once again, President Trump, by the horrible people on the left, which has you and Bibi fighting with each other every day. You guys are fighting. I know that's not true. I know you guys are very, very close, but they seem pretty dead set on regime change. Is that a possibility? Where are we in that situation?
Well, first of all, I get along great with Bibi. We've been partners in the true sense. You wouldn't have an Israel without the both of us. And you wouldn't have it without me. If I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal signed by Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? If I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal, it's one of the worst deals ever made. They would have it was a path for a nuclear weapon, and there was nothing you could have done to stop it. They would have had a nuclear weapon 4 years ago, and they would have used it on Israel, and they would have used it in the Middle East and maybe beyond that. So it was good. But the relationship that I have with Bibi is excellent.
I think we all know that. President Trump, Thursday is your big day. You're going to China. Seems to me, and of course you know about this more than anybody, that they want to play it both ways. On one hand, they need us because they need that oil from Iran, and as long as that strait isn't open, they're not going to get the oil they need. On the other hand, there's lots of rumors that they're providing weapons for Iran through the Caspian Sea, other outlets, Russians, by the way, providing drones. Seems to me like Xi wants to play it both ways, yet, he loves you. What's the real deal with this meeting coming up on Thursday with China?
Well, I think it's going to be good, and we do have it's good to have a good relationship. You know, when I first got involved, China was just really taking advantage of us, and they're not anymore. And, you know, we do great with China, but we have a very good relationship, and, you know, a lot of advantages to us getting along. And if we didn't get along, you'd know about it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of advantage. I'll tell you what we have. We have the strongest. I built the military in my first 4 years. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. And we're seeing that when you look at Venezuela one day, and we have a great relationship now with Venezuela. They say, I poll at 99% in Venezuela. Can you believe it? But, you know, it's been, and now I have with Iran, which is the same thing. It's a bigger area, a bigger country, 95 million people. And we've wiped out their Navy. We wiped out their Air Force. We wiped out their leadership. I mean, to be honest with you, we wiped out everything. We wiped out anti-aircraft. You can flow on top as much as you want, as long as you want. Now, they probably built it back a little bit over the little ensuing while, but I think we'll get there with them. And 100% we get the dust. We get the nuclear dust, and we get the whole thing said. We're in good shape. And I will say this, look, 2 years ago, everyone was saying we were a dead country. Now they say we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And we are. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world with the strongest military, the most successful country in the world. And you know what the ships are doing? They're coming up to Texas and Louisiana. They're loading up in Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska. And it's all good for us.
It is great for us. In fact, I said yesterday, President Trump, there seems to be this misconception there are three superpowers, the United States, China, and Russia. No. That's not true. There is one superpower, Donald J. Trump's America. China and they've got economic issues. Russia is still trying to fight a war. They're not really winning. Putin doesn't know one day to the next. Are they going to bomb me during my silly parade? What am I going to do? China's in big trouble, too. I maintain that only President Trump's United States of America is the only superpower left in the world today.
And hold that thought, Mr. President. Well done by Sid. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, I find this very interesting. An exclusive 77 WABC interview, a conversation between Sid and President Trump to be continued right now.
Than any other country militarily, we have it's unparalleled. You saw that. You know, if you look at Venezuela, they have a very strong military. That was not just, you know, that would have been a tough job for most other countries. We did it in one day. And now take a look at Iran, where they had 159 ships. Their whole Navy, that's a big Navy, 159 major ships. Every single one of them is laying at the bottom of the sea. And they had a big Air Force, it's all gone. They had a big everything, and it's all gone. I mean, think no anti-aircraft apparatus, no radar, no nothing. They are militarily defeated, and they probably don't know it yet. I don't know. If you read the New York Times, you think that Iran is doing well.
Yeah.
Think of it. They have no Air Force. They have no Navy. They have no leaders. And if you read the New York Times, you're saying, oh, they're doing fantastically. You know, same thing with the election. If you read the New York Times, you say, gee, is Trump going to make it? And then you see the results where I won the popular vote. I won every single swing state. The Times had me not being able to win the swing states, and I won every one of them. It's such fake news. And, you know, the sad part is the credibility of the Times, and it should be great. I'd like it to be great, but the credibility's gone down so low, and otherwise you couldn't have won. You know, if you get 93% bad stories, the only way you win is if they have no credibility, because otherwise you can't beat that kind of press.
No, you can't. And it's not just the Times. It's every network channel, President Trump. It's all the cable networks. I mean, they've already got us getting creamed in the midterms. I don't know how.
Yeah, no.
I got to ask you, maybe you can tell me, what exactly are these Democrats? Again, these are bad people. Hakeem Jeffries is a bad person. Chuck Schumer, he's a bad person. I'm telling you, President Trump, you're not going to say it. I'm going to say it. These are bad people. What exactly are they running on in November besides, I don't like President Trump? What else have they got?
Well, they have nothing, and they want to open up the borders so that criminals can pour in from all over the world, from the prisons, from murderers and drug dealers and people from mental institutions. And they want to have men playing in women's sports. I just had the Indiana football team national champions, and they had their wives, they had their friends, they had cheerleaders here. And these guys are massive guys. And, women were in there. They were half the size. They were less than half the size. I mean, the whole concept. You look at the weightlifting records where they're a record that's stood for 19 years. It gets beaten by 150 pounds. The whole thing is crazy. But they stand for that. They stand for open borders. Let everyone come in. They stand for transgender mutilization of your children. Let your children be. It's mutilization. And many other things. It doesn't make sense. The only thing they're good at is they stick together and they cheat on elections. And they don't want to have, the Save America Act. Think of it. Save America Act. What is it? And you know it better. You know that act better. You've covered it so much.
100%.
All it is voter identification. And we want to make sure that you are a citizen of the United States of America in order to come in, right? And they don't want to do that. We want to have some checks on mail-in voting because, as you know, it's totally corrupt. So if you're in the military, you can do it. If you're sick, et cetera. But we have exclusions. But we want to have no mail-in voting if possible. And that's, by the way, the least popular, but that's polling at 79%. The other ones are polling at 97%. Citizenship, when you go, the Democrats had a convention, right? And they always say, we don't want to have an identification. Except at their convention, they wear a card like it's about a foot by 2 feet with a massive picture. You can't even see who's behind it. And it's a big card with every piece of information on it. It is so crazy, Sid. It's so crazy. We want to have voter identification. We want to pass this. But the Democrats, we need their votes. They won't give you votes. And the only reason they won't talk about voter identification is because they want to cheat.
Well, that's the bottom line. But look, we've been getting some good results. I know the couple of folks that you handpicked, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and others in the Supreme Court in terms of redistricting and other different issues in front of the court have not been 100% for you and for us. And I get mad when that happens, President Trump, because you picked them. Not that they have to agree with you every time. Too. I know you get mad at me. Come on. What are they doing? What are they doing?
I don't know. We get some disappointing votes. We had one on tariffs, but I'm able to do the tariffs, but I have to do them a different way, which is not as efficient. So I get to charge more, but it's just not as efficient. That was a very surprising decision. For just a few simple words, because in theory you have to pay the tariffs back. We'll fight that. But in theory you have to pay them back. If they would put just a little half sentence that you don't have to pay back anybody that's already paid the tariff. They would have saved the country with a half a sentence like that. In other words, if you paid, you don't have to pay it back. They would have saved the country $159 billion. They couldn't write the half sentence. The whole thing is crazy. But hopefully that's going to work out okay.
I think
we've gotten some, you know what, Sid? We've gotten some good decisions also. But the tariff one was very hurtful to me because I don't get hurt. I get hurt for the country. We're taking in fortunes from people that hate us, countries and companies that hate us, and they play right into their hands. So I think it's going to work out good. And we're doing the tariffs. We just have to do them a more complex way.
I would imagine that's going to be part of the discussion with Xi, too, and China come Thursday and Friday. Tariffs. Yes, Mr. President? Yeah.
All right. There's a little bit more to be continued here. It really is in depth. And I just, you know what? You can watch and lean on the fake news, and they'll never tell you the whole story. And you get the context and perspective here of the President of the United States. Great job, Sid. To be continued. We'll be right back.
The Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?